Hi everyone, my name's Nima and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I have my July wrap up. I think I read, how many books did I read this July? I think it was 17. If you watched my last wrap up, you would know that I was trying to read a total of like 30 books. I ended up doing a little bit more than half. I read 18 books. So I'm gonna tell you guys about those books. I'm super happy with the amount of books that I was able to read. Also, I just want to say that if I look really low in energy or like sad, it's low-key because I am not low-key. I'm actually very sad. My dog died yesterday. I laugh when I'm uncomfortable, sorry. But yes, my dog of 11 years died yesterday, so it was the first death that I've ever experienced, and it's very sad. But I haven't filmed a video in a week, and I feel like I have to like film and get this up. Yeah, I haven't slept in 3 days, so it's very sad. But anyways, yeah, it really sucks. But let's talk about the books. You guys are here for that, and I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about them. I'm gonna try to do them super fast. Sorry, I literally cannot spend all day editing this video. I need to get it up, so I'm gonna talk about these books extremely fast, and hopefully I put you on. So the first book that I read, the first book that I read in July was A Court of Thorns and Roses. I read this on literally the first day of July in one day. I have a reaction vlog up for it, so if you're really interested in my reactions while reading this, please check that out. I ended up really liking this book. I rated it 4 stars. It's basically about this girl in a world where fairies are kind of like against humans. Fairies are the superior race and humans aren't. They're on the bottom of the totem pole. Particular family, Farrah's family, is extremely poor, and Farrah has to take care of everybody in her family. She has 2 sisters and a dad. She goes out hunting for them. She cooks. She does basically everything for her family. And one day she goes out hunting and she sees a wolf. She ends up killing the wolf and to bring back home to eat and to sell parts in the marketplace. A wolf-like creature breaks into her home and is like, "Who killed my friend?" Da, 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 and takes Farrah back to the fairylands for revenge. It was so good. The romance in this was so cute. It's actually Beauty and the Beast retelling. I absolutely adored it. And then I read Medicine Man by Saffron Ken. This is about a young girl who actually tried to kill herself, and she has to go to a hospital. I forgot what they're called. Just like a mental health hospital. I'm blanking on the name, but she has to go to that hospital and kind of get better and take therapy and get the proper medicines that she needs. And she ends up forming a relationship with one of the doctors there. It was very good. I rated it 4 stars. Super steamy. It was super steamy. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Listen to Colti by Mariana Zapata. I actually like this way better than The Wall of Winnipeg and Me for some reason. Basically about this girl who's a professional soccer player, and as she was growing up, she was obsessed with this male professional soccer player named Colti. She spent her whole life looking up to Colti. Colti kind of fell off. He hasn't been seen of. He's just kind of like not playing anymore. He retired. And when the start of the season came, the coach of the girls' team announced that Colti would be the new assistant coach. The girl was super excited because she looked up to him her whole entire life, and when she met him, he was actually a major a-hole. So yeah, it's kind of like hate to love. I'd say it's like love to hate to love, because she loved him like her whole life, and then she ended up hating him, and spoiler alert, she ends up loving him. So yes, this was so cute. I love Mariana Zapata's sports romances. I really want to read more of her books. And I rated Colti 5 stars. Then I read Brooklyn Air by Serena Bowen. I rated it 5 stars. It's about this, it's so hard to explain. It's about this girl who lives in Brooklyn, obviously, and she is the assistant to a billionaire, or she was the assistant of the billionaire. She kind of was with him from the beginning before he was a billionaire. The billionaire buys a hockey team and has his assistant end up being the office manager, I think, and they have a really close relationship. They kind of fell out of touch, but she's been working for him for 7 years. So it's their romance. It was super cute. A lot more went into the book. Like Becca ended up having a head injury, had to like stop working, and it created some like tensions between them, and it was really good, very steamy. I loved it. Then I read To the Ends of the Earth by Skye Warren. This is number 5 in her strip series. I read her first book. I hated it in the strip series, and I read the 5th one because it was super short on Audible Escape, and I ended up really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars, I believe. Yes, I gave it 4 stars, and it's really hard to explain what it's about. It's kind of like this girl. She lived in a orphanage type of place, like there were nuns there and priests there, and the priests, I believe, were actually like abusing the young girls, sexually abusing them, and she had to escape. And yes, it was a lot. It was really good. It's a romance between a guy who was kind of enemies with the priest and kind of helped her out. She ended up getting pregnant with the priest's child. So yes, it was very interesting. It was very short. You should check it out. It's on Audible Escape. Then I read A Secret for a Secret by Helena Hunting. This is about Kingston and Queenie, and this is also a sports romance. It was super good. It's about this goalie for a hockey team, and he is a very straight-edged, straight-laced guy. He does what he's supposed to do. He doesn't really break the rules, and one day he actually meets a girl at a bar, and they end up having a one-night stand, his first one-night stand like ever, I believe. And they're both going through a lot, so they just had a one-night stand at a bar together. So when the first day of the season came, they're having a meeting. Imagine his shock when he found out that the girl that he hooked up with was actually the coach's daughter. So yeah, it was so good. It was kind of like forbidden romance. I really, really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series because I'm pretty sure each book in this series follows other members of the hockey team. Then I read Rush for the PSU readathon. This is about this is like a college romance type of book, college drama. People compare it to Riverdale and Greek, and it's basically about sororities, fraternities, the drama within that. They go to school in like a beach town area. Palm South is the name of the beach. So yeah, I ended up really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. Super, I thought it kind of read Wattpad-y, just like the drama in it. It was very Wattpad-y, but I love Wattpad. I enjoy Wattpad, so it was very good. Then I read Dirty Charmer by Emma Chase. This is a bodyguard romance, and I absolutely adored it. I rated it 4 stars. It's basically about this girl who is in her residency, basically becoming a surgeon, and a guy who is a bodyguard. And what happens is one day the bodyguard gets into an accident, and this girl saves him, and he's so happy to be alive that he ends up just grabbing her face and kissing her because he's just so overwhelmed with joy. About their separate ways, they don't see each other or hear from each other ever again. And the girl's actually it's set in London, and the girl is kind of part of the royal family. She's like on the lower end. Okay, here we go, part 2. Hi, Princey. This is my other dog, Prince. No! Hi. Yes, hi. Don't go crazy. I love you. He's going towards my books. Super. No! Prince, relax. Gosh. What was I saying? Yes, she's on the lower bottom totem pole. What is he getting into? I will be back. So this girl is on the lower kind of totem. She's on the lower. She's not like super high in the royal family. She's like on the lower half. I think her grandma's like a cousin or something like that. And so they need to hire a bodyguard. Her family has to hire a bodyguard for 2 weeks because some kind of threat was going on or something like that, and his company ends up being the company that they hire to bodyguard. And he's like, oh my gosh, it's you, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's you, and he's like, we can't do anything because she's like, we can't do anything, I'm focused on my residency, I need to be a surgeon. And he's like, well, I can't do anything with you because like I made myself a pact and I'm your bodyguard, like I can't be doing that. Not being their bodyguard anymore, and he wants to hang out with her and stuff, get to know her, and she's like, no. But then her like chief resident person was like, you need to relax, girl. So he helps her relax. It was super good. I gave it 4 stars. I love bodyguard romances. They're they're just so special to me. Then I read Boys of Brayshaw by Megan Brandy. I've been wanting to read this series for a long while. I only read the first book. I gave it 5 stars. It's super good. It's about this girl who is kind of from rough around the edges. She's from the wrong side of the track, and her mom, she grew up with her mom. Her mom was horrible to her. The mom like ended up selling her body a lot for drugs, and yeah, she had the guys. They lived in a small trailer, so her living room was like her bedroom was right in the living room, and it was just really awful. She had a really hard time growing up, and so that causes her to behave really badly in school, get into fights, and yeah. So one day the principal has had enough with her getting into fights, and he's like, I'm calling a social worker, and the social worker removed her from that situation, and she had to move to a town called Brayshaw and live in a kind of girls' home. And in this town, there's 3 boys. They're called like the Brayshaw boys, and they kind of run the town. Instantly, they feel kind of threatened by her because they see that she isn't going to follow the mold and do everything that they say. And so it's kind of like they hate her and they're trying to run her out of town. She doesn't do that. She's a strong girl. People might think that she's like not like other girls, but she's really not like other girls. So it just like works. It's not like trying too hard, you know? Really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I can't wait to finish the series. I'm probably gonna finish it this month. Yeah, left off on a huge cliffhanger. Then I read my favorite book. I tabbed it so much. Then I read my favorite book of 2020 so far, Ecstasy by Katie Rose. This is extremely, extremely dark, so if you don't like that, I probably wouldn't read this book. It's about this girl named Zara, and she has substance abuse issues, problems. She abuses substances and drugs, and this is a college romance. They're seniors in college. Zara has a very toxic relationship with her ex-boyfriend Alex. Alex is kind of like an a-hole. He is very toxic. She's very toxic. They're both very toxic, and they end up breaking up. And during their breakup, they're still kind of talking and stuff like that. And Zara actually starts doing stuff with his roommate. It's kind of like it's a love triangle, but it is so good. If you like the show Euphoria, you will absolutely adore this. There's so many characters who I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly like Rue. Oh my gosh, that's exactly like Nate. There's so much toxicity. It was super fun and dark, and yes, I love it. I'm a dark romance type of girl, so I loved it. I rated it 5 stars, of course. Amazing. Then I read Crave by Tracy Wolff. I ended up giving this 4 stars, but thinking back on it, I might want to move up my rating because it's been weeks since I've read this and I'm still thinking about it. I'm like, dang, like, that sucks. So stuff like that. So yes, it's basically about this girl who loses her parents in a accident, and she has to move to Alaska. She's from California. She has to move to Alaska to live with her uncle and her cousin. The uncle is a headmaster at a boarding school, and the cousin attends that boarding school. So she has to now go to that boarding school. And when she gets there, she notices right away that something's not right. It's like an elite boarding school, and there's all these cliques and stuff, and she finds out a lot of stuff. It's a paranormal romance. It's so great. There's vampires, werewolves, dragons, witches. It was so good. Such a big cliffhanger. The romance was very cliche. I went into it thinking like, this is so cliche, like what the heck. It's very reminiscent of like the early 2010 like era of those type of books. Very good. Loved it. I cannot wait for the second book to come out. Then I read Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling. I rated this 4 stars, and MC romance. It's about the leader of the club and a young girl. Is age gap, super good. It's basically about this girl who's kind of like a good girl. She's the priest's granddaughter, the mayor's daughter, and she has never done anything bad. She actually gets diagnosed with cancer, and she ends up getting shot at, and Zeus ended up saving her. Zeus ended up killing the guy who shot the girl, and he has to go to jail. And while he's in jail, the little girl, she's 7 years old at the time, is writing to him, and they develop a relationship through letters while he's in jail. She has cancer, so she's at the hospital, and he gets out of jail. She grows up, and it's their romance. Really big age gap. I loved it. It was so good. Then I buddy read One to Watch with Haley Hughes. I rated this. What did I rate it? I rated it 3 stars. I was so excited to read this. Plus size representation. It's, let me tell you guys a little bit what it's about before I get into that. But it's about this girl. She's a plus size influencer, fashion blogger, and kind of like an inspiration to a lot of people. One drunken night, she ends up tweeting out about this show called The Main Squeeze. And The Main Squeeze is like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, where one person is dating a bunch of guys or girls, and she ends up rage texting being like, why are all these girls perfect, da da da. And she gets asked to be the main squeeze, and that's like The Bachelor, or that's like The Bachelorette, where she has to date tons of guys, and it's very tough for her. A lot of people are judging her. She deals with a lot of hate from the media, and yeah, it's so good. I wouldn't really consider this that big of a romance. There is a few romances in this. I thought it was good, but not that great. I thought it was kind of blah, and I believe Haley didn't think it was that great either. So yeah, we are obsessed. Me and Haley are obsessed with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. So yeah, we were super excited to read this, but it just didn't end up living that expectation for me. So yeah, then I'm just gonna talk about all 3 that I read now. I read this paranormal romance series called the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I read the first book, loved it. I read the second book, loved it. Read the third book, not so much, which sucks because people always say the third book is their favorite. I need to continue with the series, but yeah, I'm gonna quickly tell you guys what it's about. It's basically a paranormal romance about this brotherhood of vampires called the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Black Dagger Brotherhood, and they're kind of like the vampires' warriors. The vampire race's warriors. They're like the strongest, most powerful. They just protect the vampires. In this series, the vampire race is a dwindling one. The race is, what is it? The race is evaporating. What am I trying to say? Their race is, oh, my leg fell asleep. Their race is a dying one, and so they need each other to kind of save them. They have these enemies called the Lessers, where the Lessers are trying to kill off every single vampire in existence. And yeah, so it's basically romances between each of the brothers. It's super good, super fun, breaks all the vampire stereotypes. Like, something super cool about this is that they don't drink human blood, they actually drink vampire blood. And yeah, I thought it was super good. I am loving the series. I don't know if I'm going to continue with this entire series because it is a long one, but I found all of these books at the thrift store. Besides this one, I actually had to order this one off of Amazon. I have 3 other books here in the series, the next 3 books, and I'm very excited to read them. My leg fell asleep. Then I read, oh crap, my foot fell asleep. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. Then I read, I literally can't deal with my foot and leg falls asleep. It feels like, oh my gosh, it's so weird. Anyways, then I read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I absolutely love this book, and it's actually becoming an HBO show. So, you know what? I just realized I didn't tell you my ratings for them. I rated this I read Dark Lover 4 stars. I rated Lover Eternal 5 stars. I thought this one was so good. And then I read Lover Awakened 3 stars. Let's get back to Britt Bennett. Vanishing Half. I read this for the Page Turners Book Club, and I was the kind of like the guest star. And I ended up really loving it. It's about these twins from like the 50s all the way to the 90s, and I had to change my camera setup. Wow. I was using my mom's work phone to film, and look at the difference. Why is this camera better than my 11? Anyways, yes, let me get back to this. Wow, I absolutely hate my camera quality. I'm going to be using this from now on. But it's about these 2 sisters from the 70s. It's basically they grow up in a town called Mallard, where everybody looks white. They're all black, but they look white. They're very light, have like different color hair, different color eyes. And that's how the founders of the town wanted it to be. They wanted it to be a town of black people who look like they could be white passing. And very small southern town in Louisiana. And the girls always have dreams of escaping the town, and they do when they're 16 years old, and they end up going their own ways. One of the twins becomes white passing and the other one isn't white passing. She ends up marrying a very dark man and they have a daughter, and the other girl ends up marrying a white guy and they have a daughter, and it's very good. I thought the ending was kind of a little underwhelming, which sucked. I was super excited to read. I wanted like just so much like drama to happen, but it was very resemblant of life and how life works, and sometimes you don't get what you want. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. The last book that I read in July was, what is it even called? Feral Sins, I believe, by Suzanne Ray. I rated this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a paranormal romance with werewolves and shifters, I should say. I really enjoyed it. It's basically about the girl. She has a latent wolf, which means like she's a werewolf. She's a very dominant alpha werewolf, but her wolf is latent, and her dad is actually an alpha of a pack. She has a horrible relationship with him, and she ends up meeting this guy who's another alpha of another pack. He comes up with the plan to end up fake mating with the girl in order to get the alliance of her dad's pack. And yeah, it was super good, drama filled, extremely steamy. I loved every moment of it. It was so good. So that wraps up all the books that I read in July. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. All my social medias will be linked down below. Black Lives Matter card will be down below as well. Check that out if you haven't. Even if you have, check it out again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.